These two Saiyan warriors have clashed more times than almost any other rival in anime history. Goku and Vegeta's rivalry has defined Dragon Ball for decades, each confrontation pushing them beyond their limits, shaping their pride, and solidifying their legacy as two of the strongest fighters in existence. From their first showdown in the Saiyan saga to their final encounters in the Tournament of Power, every fight between them has carried enormous weight. But today we're going to take a closer look at these iconic duels from a slightly different perspective. We'll be breaking down every battle between Goku and Vegeta, starting with the ones that actually had clear conclusions, analyzing who truly came out on top each time. After that, we'll explore the inconclusive encounters, the fights interrupted, cut short, or left unresolved due to outside interference. So let's start where it all began with Goku vs Vegeta in the Saiyan saga. Following the devastation of earlier battles, Goku instructs Krillin and Gohan to retreat to Kame House, determined to face Vegeta alone. Knowing the sheer destructive potential of their power, Goku suggests that they fight elsewhere to avoid further casualties. Vegeta, amused and intrigued by Goku's confidence, accepts, and the two make their way to the Gizzard Wasteland. As they travel, Goku studies Vegeta closely, trying to gauge the extent of his strength. Upon arrival, Vegeta wastes no time taunting him, mocking Goku's low-class Saiyan heritage and reminding him that he was sent to Earth because he was weak power level at birth. But Goku, unfazed, counters with gratitude, thanking fate for sending him to Earth and asserting that even a low-class Saiyan warrior can surpass an elite through discipline and training. Vegeta smirks, ready to test that claim, and the battle begins. At first, the two appear evenly matched, trading blows and testing each other's endurance. But as the fight progresses, Vegeta begins to dominate, landing a flurry of punches and strikes that send Goku reeling. Instead of feeling fear, Goku's excitement grows. He's finally facing someone who can push him to his limits. He responds by activating Kaioken x2 and briefly turning the tide and knocking Vegeta off balance. Despite this power-up, Vegeta quickly regains control of the fight. Only when Goku resorts to the risky Kaioken x3 does he manage to surpass Vegeta, unleashing a barrage of devastating blows that rock the Saiyan Prince to his core. Each strike lands with surgical precision, targeting Vegeta's ribs, chest, and ego alike. For someone who's conquered the entire world since childhood, this is the first time Vegeta truly experiences both physical and emotional defeat. The pain and humiliation of that loss would linger for years, becoming a defining moment in his evolution. It's a turning point that Vegeta often recalls, proof that this battle with Goku wasn't just another fight, but the catalyst for his long-lived drive to ever be outclassed again. Realizing he couldn't defeat Goku though through sheer hand-to-hand combat, Vegeta, in a moment of desperation and pride-fueled rage, decides to destroy the entire planet. This act of madness is deeply ironic. If successful, it would have led to his own demise, as Saiyans cannot survive in the vacuum of space, a fact reinforced multiple times throughout the Dragon Ball series. Still, Vegeta is so consumed by frustration and the need to prove his superiority that he's willing to risk everything. This reckless decision forces Goku's hand, leading to one of the most iconic moments in Dragon Ball Z, the legendary Kamehameha versus Galick Gun beam struggle. What makes this clash particularly fascinating is how evenly matched the two appear to be. At this stage, Goku should have a noticeable advantage in raw power, especially with the Kaioken technique at his disposal. Yet the beams collide with near-perfect balance, suggesting something interesting about Vegeta's attack. It could imply that the Galick Gun inherently carries a greater destructive power output to the Kamehameha, or Vegeta's mastery and precision in using it compensates for any difference in base power. This moment hints at a larger concept in Dragon Ball, which are that techniques, refinement, and individual mastery can sometimes rival or even surpass raw strength. The series explores this theme repeatedly. When Cell fires a Kamehameha at Piccolo, it's noticeably weak compared to the more refined versions shown later, meaning that even the iconic attacks can vary greatly in potency. Similarly, Tien's evolution of his Kikoho, Tri-Beam attack, demonstrates how experience and control can transform an ability. What once drained his life energy later becomes a weapon he could wield without fatal consequence. Vegeta's shock when Goku matches his beam is another detail worth examining. Despite having been beaten and battered in their fight, Vegeta had placed an absolute faith in his Galick Gun as his trump card, his ultimate ace in the hole. That Goku could meet and overpower it deeply unsettled him, shattering the certainty he'd always had in superiority. In a final push, Goku multiplies his power to unprecedented levels by using Kaioken x4, narrowly overpowering Vegeta's attack and sending him crashing back. However, this victory comes at a pretty steep cost. Goku's body is left completely broken to the point that even a casual slap from Yajirobe later causes him pain. For Vegeta, the humiliation cuts deeper than any wound. The realization that a so-called low-class Saiyan warrior could defeat him in combat shakes him to his very core. Refusing to accept such a loss, Vegeta turns to his ultimate trump card, the power of the Great Ape, or the Old Zara. From his perspective, this wasn't a desperate move, but a logical one. Goku had just proven that him and Vegeta had no way of acknowledging how bad the Kaioken had drained his opponent. He creates an artificial moon to trigger the transformation, taunting Goku for losing his tail and his ability to do the same. Interestingly, in Funimation's original English dub, Vegeta makes the false claim that Goku's father, Bardock, was a brilliant scientist who invented the artificial moon, a line that directly contradicts canon, as the father of Goku Special makes it clear that Bardock was a warrior and not an inventor. Just a little funny detail. Once transformed, Vegeta's power skyrockets beyond Goku's comprehension. The battle becomes entirely one-sided, and Vegeta crushes Goku with brutal force, effortlessly dominating him in every exchange. Goku tries to fight back, but quickly realizes he has no chance against the Great Ape's overwhelming strength. Exhausted, broken, and unable to continue, Goku is forced to concede defeat. While Vegeta doesn't walk away unscathed, this moment marks his first and only technical victory over Goku in the Saiyan saga. A fight defined by pride, desperation, and the awakening of a rivalry that would shape the future of Dragon Ball forever. Possible explanation for why Vegeta believed he lost the first battle with Goku might stem from the Saiyan culture itself. Historically, Saiyans were a warrior race that likely fought to the death as a way of life, where survival depended solely on strength rather than skill or strategy. Training, at least as we understand it now, wasn't a major aspect of Saiyan society. The only glimpse we have of a young Vegeta training is when he spars with Cybermen, though even then he destroys them without hesitation. This reinforces the idea that Saiyan combat was a matter of life and death, not improvement or discipline. So when Vegeta failed to kill Goku, he might have subconsciously viewed that outcome as a loss. In his eyes, a battle that doesn't end in death isn't truly won. While Vegeta never explicitly says anything like "you beat me on Earth," his behavior suggests that he doesn't view himself as the victor either. In the early part of the series, it's fair to assume that Vegeta would consider a draw no better than defeat. But later in the story, things shift dramatically. After enduring 7 long years of living in Goku's shadow, Vegeta was forced to confront a painful truth. Goku had surpassed him. This realization stuck deeply at his pride as a Saiyan prince, a warrior who had always believed his royal blood made him superior. The thought that Goku, a low-class warrior born without status who had achieved greater power and skill, was a devastating blow to his ego. Adding salt to the wound was the fact that Goku's own son, Gohan, had accomplished something Vegeta could not, defeating Cell, the ultimate bioengineered warrior capable of destroying the entire solar system. Vegeta had failed against Cell more than once, while Gohan succeeded where both he and Goku fell short. This deepened Vegeta's sense of inadequacy, forcing him to grapple with not only his own limitations, but also the humiliation of being surpassed by the very family he once looked down upon. The eventual clash between Goku and Majin Vegeta became his reclaim to the lost pride, a final opportunity to prove himself against a rival who had haunted him for years. This battle is often hailed as one of the best in the Dragon Ball franchise, and not just for its choreographed power, but for its emotional depth. It stands as a highlight of the Buu saga and a moment that perfectly encapsulates the rivalry between two warriors driven by entirely different ideals. Unlike many other fights in Dragon Ball that tend to be one-sided, this confrontation was evenly balanced. Both Goku and Vegeta were equal in strength and determination, which made the fight feel raw, personal, and narratively satisfying. It shares similarities with Piccolo's battle against Android 17, a rare instance where both fighters were equally matched. However, that battle still contained an imbalance, as Android 17's infinite energy gave him a natural advantage over Piccolo, who could eventually tie her up. In contrast, Goku and Majin Vegeta's fight had no such disparity. It was a true test of equals. Some fans have speculated that Goku's status as a dead fighter might have given him an edge, since his body in the afterlife didn't experience fatigue or pain in the same way as a living body would. This concept even referenced later in the Buu saga fight, where Goku admits that using Super Saiyan 3 is far more taxing in his living body. However, any advantage Goku may have had was counterbalanced by Vegeta's boost from Babidi's magic. The dark energy not only amplified his raw power, but also reinforced his endurance, allowing him to fight on par with Goku once again. This is best demonstrated through Spopovich, a human who, under Babidi's influence, became nearly indestructible. Despite having his neck snapped, he continued to fight, showing just how potent Babidi's dark magic truly was. If such an imbalance could make an ordinary human so resilient, the level of power granted to a warrior of Vegeta's caliber must have been staggering. During the fierce battle between Goku and Majin Vegeta, both fighters unleashed devastating attacks, countering each other with equal intensity. Each exchange of blows and energy blasts felt like a clash of ideals as much as strength. Neither warrior showed any intention of yielding. What truly gives this battle depth, however, are the subtle references and callbacks to their earlier encounters. One particularly striking moment comes from the English dub, actually. During a beam struggle when Vegeta shouts "you won't win, not this time," it's a deliberate nod to their first major fight during the Saiyan saga, when Goku narrowly overcame Vegeta by pushing his Kaioken ×4. While this line doesn't exist in the original Japanese dialogue, its inclusion in the dub adds an emotional layer to the scene, resonating deeply with fans who grew up watching the series. As their battle reaches its height, Majin Buu finally awakens from his sealed chamber, his rebirth accompanied by immense bursts of chaotic energy. Even in this weakened state, Super Saiyan 2 Goku senses the danger and tries to convince Vegeta that they must focus on the new threat. But Vegeta, driven purely by pride and obsession, refuses to listen. The fight continues with explosive hand-to-hand combat sequences animated with brutal precision. Each strike is a testament to their unbreakable resolve. Every time Buu releases another surge of energy, Goku points it out, hoping to make Vegeta understand the gravity of the situation. Eventually, Vegeta pretends to agree, feigning concerns to lower Goku's guard. When Goku relaxes his defenses, Vegeta takes advantage of that moment and strikes him unconscious with a single calculated blow. This act has long been debated among fans. Some argue that Vegeta, since rendered Goku unconscious, technically won the fight. However, this interpretation misses a crucial point. Before Vegeta's deceit, both warriors had agreed to end the match as a draw, promising to resume their duel at another time. Vegeta's later attack, while undeniably cunning, doesn't change the agreed outcome. He acknowledges this when he tells Goku that they will continue their fight when he returns. His words confirm that. Despite the cheap shot, the battle was ultimately a draw. Many fans find difficult to accept. Vegeta himself doesn't even consider this a win. Sometime after their encounter with Frieza's resurrection, Goku and Vegeta spar once again, this time on Beerus' planet, under Whis' supervision. In the manga version, this match isn't depicted in full detail. Instead, Whis briefly comments that both Saiyans have grown overconfident during their following triumph over Frieza. The omission of certain scenes that appear in the anime could be a bit confusing, as fans often assume that unseen anime events still occur within the manga's continuity, though this isn't always consistent. Regardless, this sparring session offers a fascinating glimpse into their continued rivalry. One of the standout moments is Goku's use of instant transmission in combination with physical attacks, a creative display of skill that demonstrates just how much both warriors have evolved since their legendary battles on Earth. Goku first began to refine his mastery of instant transmission during his battle with Semi-Perfect Cell, where he used the technique in a clever, evasive manner, notably without needing to place his fingers on his forehead as usual. Later, in his fight against Kid Buu, Goku took this ability even further, seamlessly blending instant transmission with close-quarter combat to create devastating, surprising attacks. He would employ a similar approach during his clash with Beerus as well. In the sparring match between Goku and Vegeta on Beerus' planet, Goku once again used instant transmission to his advantage, teleporting in and out of Vegeta's reach with remarkable precision. Vegeta, unable to land a clean hit, grew increasingly agitated as the battle went on. Whis took notice of this and calmly remarked that Vegeta's heart was wavering, meaning his frustration and overthinking were clouding his focus and slowing his reactions. In the anime, Whis elaborates on this weakness, pointing out that Vegeta tends to fight too rigidly and overanalyze his movements instead of trusting his instincts. This tension prevents him from reacting as fluidly as Goku, whose natural rhythm often give him the upper hand. Goku's instant transmission barrage in particular is designed to throw off opponents who can't predict his movements, a tactic that proves especially effective unless an opponent is vastly stronger or possesses a similar spatial technique. Still, instant transmission isn't an unbeatable strategy. A fighter who can read his timing or sense ki well enough can predict Goku's movements and counter effectively. This idea is reinforced in Dragon Ball Super when Frieza manages to outsmart a Yardrat warrior, one who presumably had an even deeper grasp of instant transmission principles than Goku himself. Despite the Yardrat's advanced techniques, Vegeta's adaptability allows him to overcome him. Before his encounter with Frieza, that same Yardrat fighter had given Gohan noticeable trouble, as Gohan was learning how to counter such an instantaneous attack. Similarly, Caulifla was able to adjust quickly after observing the technique a few times, managing to anticipate and counter the Yardrat's teleportation-based strikes. These examples emphasize both the power and the limitations of instant transmission. It's unpredictable and dangerous, but not invincible. In his sparring match with Goku, Vegeta struggled to adapt in time, giving Goku a clear edge, and as the fight continued, it became apparent that Goku held the advantage, and likely was going to win, until Vegeta, out of sheer determination, powered up into Super Saiyan Blue. The sudden transformation caught Goku off guard and sent him flying over the edge of Beerus' planet. However, this moment also marked Vegeta's downfall. Goku immediately reminded him that they had agreed to not use Super Saiyan Blue during their sparring match. By breaking that agreement, Vegeta effectively disqualified himself. In martial arts, a core theme in Dragon Ball, victory isn't just about overwhelming an opponent, it's also about discipline, control, and respect for the rule. Just as the World Martial Arts Tournament established clear regulations like prohibiting ring outs or killing, these rules exist to test a fighter's restraint as much as their strength. By ignoring their agreed limits, Vegeta undermined the spirit of the match. Even if his transformation gave him a temporary advantage, it wouldn't count as a legitimate win. Considering that Goku was already ahead while they were fighting in base form, and since both share the same multiplier when using Super Saiyan Blue, Vegeta's breach of the rules only solidifies Goku's victory in this particular encounter. Regardless, Whis, who acted as the referee during the sparring match, explicitly reminded them that using Super Saiyan Blue was against the agreed rules. His acknowledgement of Vegeta's transformation as a clear violation officially confirms his disqualification. Some might argue that since Goku also transformed into Super Saiyan Blue moments later, the fight should be considered a draw. However, this interpretation doesn't hold up when examined closely. Whis never declared that the match was a tie. He merely scolded them for breaking the rules. In martial arts, and by extension Dragon Ball logic, the judgment of a referee is final. Since Whis didn't call it a draw, we can't classify it as one. If this had been a formal tournament, Goku transforming after Vegeta wouldn't automatically mean they were both disqualified. Disqualification only applies if both fighters violate the rules simultaneously, which didn't happen here. Vegeta broke the rule during the fight, whereas Goku only powered up after the match had already been interrupted. Therefore, by technicality and fairness, this particular sparring session should be counted as a win for Goku. While it's understandable that some fans still see it as a draw, the sequence of events and Whis' authority make Goku's victory the more logical conclusion. Following their battles against Jiren in the Tournament of Power, and later Broly, Moro, and Granola, Goku and Vegeta eventually decide to face each other once more. This time, however, it's Whis who initiates the rematch. Interestingly, if Whis had complete control of how things unfolded, the fight might have resembled their chaotic three-way clash from both. This time, however, it's Whis who initiates the rematch. Before the fight begins, Whis lays down a strict set of rules: no transformations and no ki-based attacks. The outcome would be determined purely through martial skill, a test of technique and control remnants of the traditional taijutsu bout seen in Naruto. After a meal prepared by Lemel, who had taken over Whis' usual cooking duties, the two Saiyans step into position. A subtle but meaningful detail appears here as well. Vegeta is shown standing slightly above Goku before the match begins. This visual cue often symbolizes a momentary sense of superiority or dominance. A clever bit of foreshadow. In both the anime and manga versions of the fight, it's noted that Vegeta has significantly altered his fighting style. This evolution stems from his new meditative training regimen, which has allowed him to remain calm, focused, and leading to more fluid and adaptive combat movements. Whis had previously pointed out that Vegeta's rigidity during battle was one of his greatest weaknesses, that he often tensed up and overanalyzed, restricting his natural flow. Now, having embraced a more flexible and composed approach, Vegeta can finally fight Goku on equal footing. Beerus even comments that the match could take a while, and he's proven right. Their hand-to-hand combat battle stretches on for an extremely long time, running parallel in the universe to superheroes' movie climactic fight between Gohan Beast and Cell Max. The sheer duration of their bout emphasizes how evenly matched they've become. Both fighters are so immense in their clash that they completely fail to sense the enormous power surges from Gohan Beast, Cell Max, or even Orange Piccolo, who by that point should be comparable in strength to Ultra Instinct Goku from the Moro arc. The fact that both Whis and Beerus become completely absorbed in watching the fight also speaks volumes about its intensity and significance. Though the clash is described briefly in the narrative within the story itself, it lasts an incredibly long time. Ultimately, the winner is decided, and it's Vegeta. After a fierce drawn-out struggle, Vegeta narrowly defeats Goku, landing the decisive blow that knocks him down and forces Goku to admit defeat. Even if the battle had continued, Goku's admission makes it clear: Vegeta won fair and square. Much like their very first encounter back in the Saiyan saga, Goku acknowledges his rival's strength, solidifying Vegeta's victory. None of the spectators contest this outcome either, confirming the result beyond question. But what truly stands out is what follows afterward. In both the Dragon Ball superhero anime and manga, Vegeta proudly declares that he's finally beaten Kakarot. This statement carries more weight than it might seem at first glance, however. It provides a major insight into their long-standing rivalry. Earlier in this video, I mentioned that several of Goku and Vegeta's fights over the years ended ambiguously, with no clear winner. Before this match, fans couldn't say for certain who held the upper hand in those prior encounters. However, Vegeta's declaration changes that. By saying he's finally beaten Goku, Vegeta essentially confirms that in every past fight, whether it ended in a draw or simply left unresolved, Goku was either the victor or at the very least, never the loser. In other words, this is Vegeta's true first win over Goku, officially putting an end to the long-standing rivalry in the anime. Now, some might joke, but Majin Vegeta didn't even count his first fight with Goku as a win. And that's a fair point, but context does matter. While Vegeta may not view life or death or chaotic street fights the same way, he absolutely understands how to judge a fair sparring match, which is why he knew that he beat Goku this time around, especially since that's the kind of battle he and Goku usually engage in these days. Throughout Dragon Ball, Goku has typically maintained a slight edge over Vegeta, which explains why Goku tends to come out on top during their training bouts. Whenever Vegeta manages to close the gap, their clash usually ends in a stalemate. So what this means is that the training bouts that you see Goku and Vegeta have over the years, Goku is most likely the victor in almost all cases. And if he's not the victor, it ends in a draw, which would explain why Vegeta would say that he finally has beaten Goku.